Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A, formerly 5B, in mid-Michigan. And today is our day for our garden tour, our weekly walkabout. And we're going to start over here in the back garden, and we're going to start by looking at the potager. And I have to tell you, I've made a little bit of progress in the garden this week, but this is the time of year where I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed by things because things are growing so quickly. And last night we had serious thunderstorms and tornado warnings at midnight, and we're hunkering down in the basement, and I hope everybody who is out there who has had this weather come through your area is doing okay. All right, let's get started. So as you can see in the potager, we have some really beautiful blooms happening on the irises right now. It is just lovely. Our Virginia blooms have gone over, but these irises are definitely a standout, and they smell great too. The Virginia leaves still look really nice and green, but I do need to come through and take some of the Virginia spent blooms out. So we'll take care of that soon. One thing that is taking over the potager garden right now is this creeping sedum. I'm sure many of you have had this before in your garden, but it is really quick growing and hard to stay on top of, and it's creeping in all of my cracks, so I've got to get on top of that soon. Just look at all of the blooms that are starting to form on this columbine. Isn't this beautiful? This is, I believe, a black barlow. It is a bloom that has multiple layers on it, and I just think it is beautiful. We also have some buds on these irises over here. I believe these are called His Royal Highness. They're a very, very deep purple. And so I think tomorrow we'll probably see some of those start to bloom. Now I did take out, I had a smoke tree or a smoke shrub. It was supposed to be a small one, and it got much larger than I wanted to be, much taller, and so I did take that out. I just cut it down. I'm not sure how quickly it will grow back from the stump, so we'll see how that goes over time. Our lady garden is looking really good over here. Finally looks like it is filled out with some foliage, and including the Pinky Winky hydrangea, which has been a bit behind and usually provides quite a bit of shading of this heating pump that is for our pool, but right now it's not fully leafed out. It's almost there, and I think it will continue to fill in a little bit more. It was about 85 degrees today, you guys, so things did kind of flop in the heat of the day, and we're starting to see things recover right now. So you'll notice this geranium, for example, has a spot back here where it's empty, and that's because it just hasn't fully perked up yet. But nothing needs water. We got probably an inch of rain in the storm last night. Pretty crazy. Incredibly strong winds. And again, I hope everybody is doing okay. If you lost power, I hope you get it back soon. The half moon garden is looking beautiful right now with the heptacodiums, or the seven sun trees, and our hedge is starting to fill out. This is privet. It's a golden privet, so it has a really nice glow about it. There are some holes that you can see through because it hasn't grown together all of the way, but definitely has made a lot of progress over the last couple of years, and I think it will continue to. We're still seeing some beautiful creeping phlox in bloom in this garden, which is really nice. And I thought that our lady's mantle, which is the gold strike variety, would be open by now, but it has not yet opened. There are definitely buds everywhere on the plant, so those will be opening really soon also. Everything's just looking really, really healthy, and like I said, voluminous is probably a good word for it right now, where I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of foliage that is happening in the garden, especially with the spent daffodils. So one of the things that I like to get rid of, that I can't hold on for as long and wait until they turn yellow, is the daffodil foliage. So I will be coming through, and probably by the time we have our tour next week, all of the daffodil foliage should be cleaned up from the garden. So you can see we have a lot of it in here, And I think after the daffodils are gone, you know, it really starts to look a little bit messier than I like it to look. So I like to come through and just cut it down. But it is important to leave up the foliage for some amount of time so that the bulbs can get a recharge for blooms next year. I wanted to back up a little bit just so you could see this Autumn Jubilee, or the Amber Jubilee 9 bark on the right here next to the purple leafed Thundercloud Plum, because they are starting to get really close to each other, and therefore the colors are starting to mingle and contrast a little bit more in this area, and I think it's just a beautiful combination, especially since the flowers are gone off the Thundercloud Plum now. It's just really nice that the foliage has the color for it. As you can see, our lungwort still has lots of blooms on it, but it is just about spent. Oddly enough, tomorrow it is probably going to be only in the mid-50s, so we're going from about 85 to mid-50s tomorrow, and so things are rapidly changing in Michigan. We never have a dull moment with the weather. Our Japanese painted ferns back here are really looking great. They have come up and are just stunning. They provide just such a nice color contrast after they open, because when they first start to come up, they really blend in a lot with the leaf mulch, but now they're starting to come up. Our hostas are filling in this area. This hydrangea in here is not doing that great. It definitely has the leaf tires, little caterpillars on it, and I planted this not last year but the year before as just a very small cutting. Hopefully it will grow out from the leaf tire. I did not get all of them opened up and cleaned out. Our heucherellas are looking really pretty right here. Such a gorgeous glow in a shady corner of the garden. And we're going to get some blooms on this clematis right here, which is also in, you know, part shade, but we've got quite a few buds on it that are getting ready to open soon. I don't even remember what it is, so I'm looking forward to seeing what color the blooms are. As we come into the woodland garden here, you'll see that we have our rhododendrons blooming now, and I'm super happy about that. They look great. They're just a stunning color. Very vibrant. And again, even though the foliage turned brown over the winter, you can see we're getting some really nice fresh green foliage coming through now, just all over the shrub. So I'm thrilled about that. And our Sum and Substance hosta next to it is ginormous. By the way, if you look in the description of this video, I do have an email address, and I do want to get rid of this big blue hosta that is blocking this gate. So if you are interested in coming to dig that up, I will take the first 3 people who email me and save them in a list, and we'll contact you, and you can come and dig it up. So it's a really beautiful, big, probably 5 feet wide, maybe even more, hosta. With ginormous leaves that are puckery and blue. So let me know if you are interested. Again, I'll save the first 3 people who email me, and we'll see who can come and get it as quickly as possible. All right, let's just come out here. I did do a little bit of trimming on this Japanese maple, which lifted up its skirt just a little bit, which I think is really nice because it finally gives a little bit more room between it and the hostas beneath it. And it just makes for a really beautiful sitting area, doesn't it? Gorgeous colors here. Also, the heucheras over here have filled out greatly. This is an older variety. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was like mint or green mint heuchera. So the flowers on it are very minuscule and don't do a whole lot at all, but the foliage is great and it comes back really well for me every year. So if you struggled with heuchera, this one might be one to try. The Jetstream hydrangea leaves are bigger than they have ever been this year. I feel like it's Jurassic Park around here with all of the foliage. The Cordial Canary Ajuga is still blooming. So cute and beautiful. Very bright. In part shade. And this bed right here is, I think, a little bit out of control. It's very, very colorful. Just packed densely right now. I do have a panicle hydrangea that is in the middle of all of these blooms and hostas, and I'm going to need to make sure that it doesn't get crowded out. So I'll be working on that this week. Our astilbes have come up really well along this line. And everything's just looking so healthy here along the path. The heucheras are really filling in the plum pudding. Again, this is another variety that does very well for me here in Michigan, so I highly recommend it. It comes back regularly for me. This rhododendron starts out a very bright pink, and then as it opens, it turns white. Isn't that pretty? This one is still really small, and I have another one that is right next to it that has yet to bloom. So you can see how dark those pink blooms start, and then they open to a white. Very beautiful. Lots of mosquitoes out tonight, so you might hear me slapping my arms or my hands or something, so I apologize for that in advance. Our trillium is going over to beautiful pinkish purple now, and the maidenhair fern is almost fully open now, and it has that beautiful star-like appearance. Blooms are just about open on this dogwood. Looking forward to seeing those because the bees do like those. Just a few of them this year, not a ton. Our autumn ferns are coming up. You can see those fronds opening. And this yellow river hosta is a giant hosta as well. Beautiful color on the outer rim of that. And I have cut back this Queen of Hearts Brunnera, all of the blooms and everything, and so it will come forth with all of its wonderful foliage soon. I cut them all the way back just to avoid any powdery mildew issues that we might get here in Michigan. These ferns are doing great at the base of this bench. I believe these are Christmas ferns. If anybody knows, it'd be helpful. These are something I got off of a family property, and I really am enjoying them. I'm so happy to have them. Now, I did come through and clean up the daffodil foliage that was along in these hostas, and it looks really great. It's so much cleaner than a lot of the different areas in the garden, as you can see. It doesn't feel quite so crowded. And our weeping spruce is doing great, you guys. Look at all of that new growth on it. I did take the stake and stake up one of the branches to continue to give it more height. So it's probably a good 5 feet, some inches now. And I hope it hardens off in that. It has a really nice curve to it. Hopefully you can see it well on the camera. I know it's up against some green. Not really a whole lot of contrasting background to see it, but I really like the way that it's curving. Our oak leaf hydrangea that we transplanted is doing really good. Like I said, we did have mid-80s today. We had that also yesterday as well. So the leaves did kind of droop, but they come back every evening looking fantastic and fresh. So I think it's very happy in its new spot. Our Chantilly Lace Goat's Beard is putting out some bloom spikes. So we'll probably see those next week. And all of the new growth on our Pieris is looking great. They definitely have some added height. I did come through and kind of pull back some of the large root geranium from around them just to give them a little more space to grow and make sure that they don't get taken over. I may have to continue to do that this year, but that large root geranium is really, really easy to pull up, so not a problem. And I've gotten lots of new growth on this variegated boxwood, so I'm really, really happy about that because I love how it looks as just kind of a focal point at the end of this garden bed with the halcyon hostas that are so, so blue. And then we have the muckdenia here, or muckdenia, excuse me. This is the muckdenia. Kind of an unusual plant that I found at Lowe's on clearance one year, a couple years ago, and I had to move it because it wasn't doing well in a spot before, but it's definitely doing well in these spots. Just a real fan leaf shape there to that one. So yeah, lots of beauty going on in the woodland garden, and I am really looking forward to getting the foliage from the spent daffodils cleaned up throughout all of the gardens in the coming week or two here. Just look at all of the growth on these lilies. You can't even see any of the rabbit damage anymore, so that is fantastic. And you can see that the sedums are really starting to stand out more. We're getting lots of new growth on those as well. These are some of the I think it's the Rhythm of My Heart series of daylilies from Proven Winners. Like Daring Deception, I think, is one of them. I'll have to look it up to remember for sure. When they bloom, I will let you know which one is which. The chives have lots of buds. Some of them are flowering now. And we've got lots of color from foliage in this bed, which I love. Again, because once the flowers go over, the foliage is still there to give you that pop of color. I do have a couple of spots that I need to fill in with something else. This is where I took the butterfly bushes out. And you can see that this sedum, this autumn joy sedum back here, is still a little wilty from the sun today because these face the west. But otherwise, things are looking good. And you guys, guess what is in full bloom? And it looks amazing. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? This is the opening act snowball bush. And it's a viburnum. And I think it is super gorgeous. Just amazing. I actually have a small branch that I cut and put into a vase inside the house so we could enjoy it there as well. But it is just covered this year in blooms and I love it. I highly recommend it. This is supposed to get 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. I would say it's probably 7 to 8 feet wide and about 7 feet tall. So it should still get a little bit taller than this, which is great. I'd love for it to be at the height of the fence or over the height of the fence. I may need to ask the neighbor for some permission to cut some of the branches that are dead off of the peach tree that's next door. But I'm sure they would not mind that at all. Lots of beautiful color over here with the heucheras filling in, beginning to fill in. We have the caramel heuchera, And the watermelon, carnival, heuchera, and Georgia peach, I think, is the other one. And our 9-bark looks beautiful over here. This is the little devil 9-bark, and it's going to come into bloom soon as well. It'll have tiny little blossoms all over it, and I can't wait until that happens to show you. Filling out our vanilla strawberry hydrangea is almost completely leafed out. Some wonderful growth on our blood good Japanese maple over here, and I did come through and kind of tidy up some of the lower small branches just to give it that lift and to ensure that we're getting some sun down to that mop head cypress that we have planted underneath of it. But it looks gorgeous. It's got a nice shape to it, and I'm happy with it. I did come across a tree frog today in my garden, you guys. I was kind of surprised by that, but it was fun to see. Just thought I'd tell you. Here we have our azure snow salvia that's starting to bloom. A gorgeous purple and white bloom on this one. Tons of buds on it. And we also have crystal blue, I believe, is the other variety that we have that is getting ready to bloom. And actually this one has some blooms on it, so you can see that very light powdery blue color. And still some wonderful blooms from the ajugas along here. These salvias are gonna bloom, and they are gonna be gorgeous. I cannot wait. And it's cool that they're blooming alongside so much of this ajuga. I've got to get some more of this ajuga back in this part of the garden bed. I'm not sure what happened to it or why it kind of thinned out, but I'm going to put some back in there because some of it is kind of creeping out here, you see, from that garden bed, and we'll get some starts back in there. Yeah, so I did throw a couple of geraniums into these 2 pots right here. They have some thyme that is planted in them as well, which will creep over this side and drape over and look oh so beautiful. And it has these little beautiful pink blossoms on it. So I like to have that kind of along the cracks as well. Now my mugo pine, it got attacked by, well, you can actually see them. They're so gross, you guys. So look away if you don't like caterpillars and stuff. But these, you can see them on this one right now. But it's been attacked. I don't know if it's going to be okay or not. I'm going to give it some time. I didn't spray them or anything like that. Sometimes I can spray them off with a hose. But at this point, the majority of them are gone. So we're going to see what happens. And I forget what they're called, but usually they come just about every year. Last year I didn't have them, so I kind of didn't pay attention to it this year. And a lot of the new growth or the new candles are still on the tree, so maybe it will leaf out and still look pretty cool. I don't know. It could look horrible. Anyhow, I'm lamenting a little bit about the state of that mugo pine because I've had it for probably, gosh, I don't know, 7 years now or something like that. And I really like it. And I'll be bummed if I have to get rid of it because those things come every single year. Anyhow, this area looks really nice. One thing that is not doing very good over here is my holly. This is a scallywag holly. I think it gets too much moisture in this garden bed. So I'm probably going to dig that out. I may move this Weigela forward. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But that's just one idea. And then the can-do hydrangea is doing really well. We've got some growth coming on the old wood as well as lots of new growth coming. And then those Sicilian honey alliums, I thought they would be blooming this week, but they're not yet. And I think that's just because we had the cool down and then we had lots of rain. And now that it's hot, I think they're going to open again. But like I said, tomorrow's going to be like 53, so maybe they'll wait. So this Japanese maple, I came through and pruned it a little bit as well because it was looking rather dense. I wanted it a little bit more open and airy, so I think it looks nice now. And we have our quick fire hydrangea that is fully leafed out for sure. Looks super healthy. We'll be getting blooms in no time. And we've had plenty of good growth on our arborvitaes that are topiaries and had chance to trim those a little bit so they look nice and tidy. Yeah, everything's just looking really good. Our Caradonna salvia right here with the dark stems. This one's gonna bloom soon. I didn't have a chance to get this clematis cleaned up, but you can see it's got lots of new growth and there are buds on it as well. So we'll see how that one blooms this year without having been cut back. Oh, I should show you my multi-blue clematis. Before we go to the front garden, I just want to show you this clematis, which is in bloom now. This is the multi-blue variety, and the center of this will further open and provide additional layers of beautiful bloom. So we just have the one open layer right now, but these will continue to open, and they're so beautiful, such a deep, dark blue purple. Okay, let's head to the front garden now. All right, well, here we are in the side garden and we're looking at the burning bush, and someone asked me, why do I have this when it's invasive in Michigan? I haven't had any problems with this putting out any seedlings. I've had this for probably about 15 years. It was supposed to be a much smaller plant. I think just about anything I plant in my garden, it seems like they get a lot bigger than they say on the tag. So hopefully my lesson is learned, but at any rate, I've had one seedling in about those 15 years. So, and I didn't know it was invasive at the time that I got it. So, not as much information was out about it at that time. This snowball bush is looking pretty good. As you can see, I've gotten lots of new top growth that I'm going to need to trim back. But the blooms are pretty. This one, as opposed to being on stiff branches, the blooms are actually so big that they do kind of tend to droop a little bit, which I think is kind of elegant also. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Annabelle hydrangea and how they kind of hang over a little bit, if you like that look. And the royal ferns are just glowing in the sunlight right now. They are almost fully open now. And our azalea, all of the blooms that we had this year have opened, and it's a beautiful color. Hopefully you're not seeing too many mosquitoes in the lens frame, but they definitely are out today. I actually read that blue is a color that they don't really like, so I put on a blue shirt for this garden tour and hope that it worked. Here's some chives that are open right now, looking very beautiful. The lollipop bloom. And we have some May night salvia in bloom, just starting anyways. And this Caradonna salvia right here is almost in bloom. I thought it would be blooming also this week, but not quite yet. You can see we're starting to get some blooms on those Telstar purple dianthus that we have along the border of the garden. But again, we're getting some colors from different types of foliage in this long border, which is really nice. Sorry about that, guys. My camera overheated. I was just talking about how much I'm happy about the foliage and having color from the foliage because of the fact that it really just, you know, flowers come and go, but the foliage is there for the whole season, so it's so lovely to have that. As you can see, just a few little blooms on the dianthus here as well. Just starting. We have more salvia budded up in this garden bed, and no blooms yet on our black lace elderberry, but they are all just getting ready to open. And definitely some beautiful blooms on the chives in this garden bed as well. So everything's just looking really, really healthy. As I said, except for the couple of things that I've pointed out. In this garden bed right now, we're starting to get blooms on our concertina irises. Here we are right here. They're a beautiful light pinky peach color with a throat that is lined with purple and even a little bit of peachy orange in there. So just so gorgeous. The deutzias are getting ready to bloom now. You can see the buds all over those. We have some small violas that are blooming that came back from last year, so that's pretty cool. And our Christophii alliums are coming up. I'm waiting on the umbrella pine to push out some of its new growth, but I can see that the candles are getting ready to push out. So that's exciting. At least I know it is going to happen. And just look at this deutzia. It's so close to bloom, and the buds are covering it. You can see our purple sensation alliums through the foliage of the weeping cherry here. Looks a lot different this week with all of the ferns really filling in underneath of this cherry. And our wabi sabi viburnum, let's take a look at that because it is in bloom. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like snowflakes all over it, but summer snowflakes, which makes me happy. And we're about to get some of the crystal blue salvia in bloom in front of that, so that will be a very pretty combination. Just look at it with those purple sensation alliums. Stunning. Lots of them in bloom right now. And our oak leaf hydrangea over here is doing better. We're starting to see more growth on it. But I definitely can tell that some of the branches are going to need to be trimmed. So I'll be taking care of that soon. I feel like we're at the point now where if things were going to be coming out green, they would be by now. So if I don't see it on it this week, it's going to come off. We have some beautiful veronica down here that is going to be blooming soon. This veronica blooms a very true blue. I believe it's called Venice Blue Veronica. So we'll take a look at that when that blooms as well. Now, I did come through and clean up around the front porch today. So you'll be seeing this Saturday morning. This is Friday. I got all of the dead things out of the pots and I put in a new liner, coconut liner in there, so ready for some new blooms to be placed in there. My Cape Lookout hydrangeas are doing good right here. They're pushing lots of new growth now that it's gotten warm. Our maidenhair fern is almost fully leafed out in this garden bed as well. You can see lots of the hellebores have leafed out, and our hostas are getting much more full as well. So this garden bed is really starting to fill in. Now I am going to have to do a similar thing out here also in pulling some of the large root geraniums away from some of the hellebore and hostas just to make sure that they have room to grow and don't get smothered. But again, that's nice and easy, and it smells good when you do it too. That foliage smells nice. The pieris that I planted out here is not doing well. I'm not sure why, but it does have green leaves on it, but only half of it is green. So I don't know if it gets too much shade up here or what. I'm not sure, but so that might get pulled. We'll see. Now on these dwarf white pines, I'm going to have to pull that geranium back away from it as well, because I don't want to kill the white pine, because that's a much more expensive and evergreen plant that I'll get a lot more out of. So you can see like this daffodil foliage right here, I want to get rid of that. And it's just now starting to turn a little bit yellow at the ends, so a couple of days and I think I can safely cut it back without harming the amount of blooms that I get next year. I have never ever been able to last the entire period of time until something becomes yellow for the daffodil foliage to cut it back, and my daffodils have always come back. So this is a striptease hosta right here, gorgeous with that nice little white line that it has in there. I love those. You can see our lily of the valley is blooming now, sweetly scented flower that just has taken over this garden bed, but provides a really nice foil for this orange rocket barberry here. Nice contrast anyways. I did not plant this purple sensation allium back here, but it has popped up, so we'll see if we start getting more of those every year. Yeah, we have more irises here that are in bloom, and our hypericum is looking good. St. John's wort here. This one I think is called Sunny Boulevard, so this should have some pretty little yellow flowers on it. And our weeping spirea over here is cascading and looking gorgeous. This is the fire gold spirea. Love that. Well, that's the end of our tour today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you are getting some nice weather, and again, I hope all of you are safe from the tornadoes and severe storms that we had. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Bye!